So I'm a fifth generation Floridian, born and raised right here in South Florida. I started working in a boatyard at a very young age of 14 years old and did every kind of job that's imaginable at the boatyard. I worked there through my high school years and actually put myself through college working as a commercial diver. Well, I'll tell you, I knew that when I was working in this boatyard that was not what I wanted to do the rest of my life, because that was really hard, hot, dirty work. So I made the decision, and I was very good at numbers, made a decision to pursue accounting and finance. And accounting is kind of like the language of business, if you will. So that gave me the skills to get my foot in the door. What you needed, I thought, was to get my foot in the door and start to learn business. I think one of the most important things about going to FSU is not only did it teach you the skills, but that the professors were engaging, and they would always be available and help you out. And I developed some relationships with Professor McIntyre, Joe Iserman, Professor Black, and they were always there to help, and they gave you the recognition that you needed. So when I graduated, there were the big 8 accounting firms, if you will, and I had offers from all of them. I chose to go with Pete Marwick. I worked at our largest client, Ryder Systems. I also worked at another leasing company. They were at that time looking to be purchased, so they made me an offer to come in as their CFO and to establish a proper accounting system, and I did. I mean, they basically made me an offer that I couldn't refuse. So here I was at the age of 25, way over my head, but you know what? You learn a lot when you're put in those situations, and we were very successful. We turned things around and ultimately sold that company in 1986. So I had the opportunity to join Admiral Cruises, and I stayed there for about a year and a half, and we worked on a potential joint venture between Royal Caribbean and Disney. Disney decided to get into the business themselves. They had the capital, they had the travel agent network, they had the big brand, they had most of the ingredients, but what they didn't have was the expertise. And they recruited me to be the first CFO of Disney Cruise Line. So first day at work, just moved the family up to Orlando, and I go to work and I get a call from the president of Disney Cruise Line. He was actually in California at the time. He said that we have to develop the business plan. And I said to myself, great, I've done many business plans before. He said, yeah, we have to develop the business plan for the final go, no-go decision. And my heart sunk. And I said, what do you mean the final no-go decision? He says, well, we have to sell the business plan and make sure that it's a viable business. So we worked on developing the business plan for 6 months. We put together a huge presentation. We take it into Michael Eisner, kind of a big deal. We have an hour scheduled for this meeting, and as soon as I get in there, Michael starts firing away questions, and the meeting didn't even last 20 minutes. He said, are you guys all okay with this? He looks around the room, everybody nods. He says, let's go. And there we are. Disney Cruise Line was born. The next step in my career was, I guess at that point, the pinnacle, because I was promoted to be president of Disney Cruise Line in 2007, and I was very proud of that. My personal goal, though, was to grow the business. We had been successful with 2 ships, and we wanted to grow the business. We thought there was a great opportunity, and finally had an opportunity to talk about it with the Walt Disney Company Board of Directors. And they were out in Burbank. I remember vividly, I was invited to come out there, and my leader at the time told me, Tom, just follow my lead. So they called me into the meeting with the Walt Disney Board of Directors, and here I am, and my leader says, hey, Tom, tell me about your business. And that was my lead. So I told them about my business, how successful it was, and they started asking all kinds of questions. We shouldn't sell this business, we should grow it. And it was Steve Jobs that was really leading the pack. Once he heard about the business and how successful it was, he was really keen on investing the right amount of capital, because it takes a significant amount of money. So the next day, I get a call from Bob Iger, who's the CEO of the Walt Disney Company. And it went from me years begging for growth, from now him saying, hey, Tom, how quickly can we grow this business? When can we have ships in the water? And I thought that was quite ironic. So I had an opportunity to move back to South Florida, where my family was, and I was recruited by The World. The World is one ship. It's the size of a cruise ship, but it's the world's largest private yacht. So they recruited me, and I had the best title ever. I was president and CEO of The World. And surprisingly, one day I got a call from Virgin, and Virgin was interested in getting into the cruise business. What's really exciting about Virgin is not only starting from scratch, but getting to work with perhaps the most unique and recognized entrepreneur of all time, Richard Branson. And he has a very unique vision on creating something different and kind of disrupting existing markets. We all need to have balance in life, and being an entrepreneur can be quite demanding. You need to have that balance. You need to have a way to vent. You need to have a personal life, and Yvonne has certainly been a very, very important part of that way. It helped balance me, keep me sane during the times, and keep my feet attached to the ground at times as well. I'm involved in the FSU Foundation. I also involved by going back and lecturing in the classroom, and I really enjoy doing that. And I think that that's a great opportunity. What FSU does is they provide that access to not only professors, but the alumni who really want to give back, who have that spirit and that pride of that FSU really instills in all of us.